Hello and welcome back to Gamesoverplastic. This is a podcast that comes at you, we say bi-weekly, but then, we're recording all the time. We just did a nice spoiler cast, Hodge and I, for our current goatee for both of us, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, a great game. We spewed for about an hour and a half about that. We both loved it. So if you've played that game and you haven't checked out that spoiler cast, please check it out. If you haven't played that game, I would not listen to it until you play the game.
Yeah.
Unless you really don't care. But then I'd be like, well, maybe you have better things to do than listen to a podcast. Then I think, but a game you didn't play. But today's episode is a very special continuation of a series we've been doing where we're reviewing each and every Last of Us Season 2 episode. And last night was the premiere of episode 5, Feel Her Love. Sounds like a nice rock song. And we're going to review it. But before we do that, again, this is Games Over Plastic. You can find us on podcast services. You can watch us on YouTube. You can give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a review, give us 5 stars, comment away. Really, anything you would like as long as you're engaging. And as always, I'm joined by Hodge, the man. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm drinking water out of my big Star Wars cup that I got when I saw episode 3 in theaters again. But this was obviously we'll get into it, but I gotta say this has been a step up of the last couple weeks for me. So I thought it was a pretty good episode. Felt a little rushed at the same time because they did it once again where one day was one episode, so it felt like we have to do everything from day 2 in about an hour, and so it felt a little rushed. But overall, I thought it was a step up from the last couple episodes. But happy to be here and happy to get into it.
All right, and we are also joined by the Bucky's man, Midnight. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Just clocked out of work, and here I am. The episode was good, and I'm excited to talk about it. And it was better than the last couple episodes, probably. It was good.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Just give our initial thoughts. So first off, I'm going to go first. First of all, I got to say one thing, though. So secretly, over the last 5 days, I replayed The Last of Us Part 2. I replayed it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. TV show. It's a good TV show. Really good. But it's definitely designed for those who have not played the game. Because now that I replay the game is, I'm going to say, 1,000 times better. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying the TV show, but the game is 1,000 times better in my book. The casting of Bella Ramsey, now that I've actually replayed the game again for the first time in years, I'm like, wow, like, not even the casting, it's like the writing of Ellie is so not the game Ellie. Like, Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2 is so much more of like, I'm on my revenge tour, I'm serious, I'm ready to go. And this is so different. We got some of that at the end, though. We did get some of it at the end, where with the whole scene with Nora, and when she kind of goes against what she said to Jesse and Dina when she sees the hospital and goes in by herself. We do get that at the end, but I am like so like, wow, the game, this is so different, and I'm telling you, it is so much more designed for those who have not played the game, and it's more digestible. And Hodge, what you were saying about how they kind of rush things with the days in one episode, I feel like the beginning of episode 2, the beginning of this episode and the beginning of the episode of day 1 is kind of like the stuff you would have got in the open world section of one of the parts in Seattle in The Last of Us, where you get a lot of that optional stuff where you're building out story, and then you get the more meat of it. But overall, I thought the episode started slow, but I think it gradually picked up and finished at a real high point. It was like a mountain almost. I felt like it slow build, but it was more satisfying as we went on. And we got our White Knight Jesse back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't remember. Is that how? Like, obviously, that's not exactly. But did he show up in a similar way in the game? I couldn't remember.
Similar way, but not at that point. He showed up before this. At this point, it was before the hospital.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember because I know she does the hospital by herself in the game, but I couldn't remember why and all that. So I couldn't remember if Dina takes an arrow to the knee and that stops her from being an adventurer like me. But I couldn't remember how the whole order went. But
also, Yeah. Also, one last thing before I throw it to Midnight, some continuity errors. All right, Ellie starts to sing Future Days by Pearl Jam. That song came out in 2013. 10 years before, Pearl Jam would have been dead by then. Come on. And the only reason why I say that is because Neil Druckmann made a point, because someone called him out on, called him out when The Last of Us 2 came out. Well, how is Joel obsessed with Future Days by Pearl Jam? And he specifically said, well, the single Future Days by Pearl Jam came out 2 weeks before the outbreak happened in the video game universe. So Joe must have heard that in those 2 weeks. So just pointing that out there, we get a little bit of continuity here.
Yeah, I remember that someone pointed it out and they're like, oh, we just have to use this song, so we just whatever. They just didn't even try and explain it for the show. They're just like, whatever, it's part of the plot. We're putting it in anyway.
I don't really care. I'm just joking around. I like the song. So
why did they change the outbreak day to begin with?
I think it was to make it more when they're walking around in 2023, it's more relevant to the time we were watching it, which is stupid because it's you could have said it in 2053 and it still wouldn't have been I think it would have looked exactly the same.
Yeah, it would have still been post-apocalyptic. You might as well have said it in 2023 so that the modern day would have been relevant, and then the future wouldn't even matter because it's the future.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was weird. I mean, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, but
no,
yeah. It's the song was in the game, so they had to use it.
Exactly.
All
right, Midnight. What do you think? Initial early thoughts.
I mean, I haven't played the game, as everyone knows, so I don't know.
Talking about just the episode,
but
the episode in general.
The episode was pretty good. Like I said, I thought it was better than last week's, and better than the first episode. One of the better ones. Overall, I enjoyed it. I'll go into more detail as we break it down line by line. I'll give my thoughts on a more detailed basis. But overall, it was good, and I'm excited to talk about it scene by scene.
All right. Well, let's do that right now. So we get the cold open with the wolves discussing the fungus in the air in the hospital, and I think this is a perfect setup for obviously later on when we see the wolves trapped down in the hospital in the basement with Ellie, and they're still alive, and we get the whole, well, they're wondering why you killed your own men. And she didn't actually kill them. She kind of just left them there, and they're still alive, and they're breathing those spores. I think they did a really good job with the whole spores aspect. I thought it looked phenomenal. I thought they did a really, really good job with the design of it and how it looked. And I thought but I mean, that's later, so we'll get into that later. But we get that whole cold open with them discussing things, and she kind of explains it, and it's kind of just setting up for the future scenes.
Well, yeah, it was great because the way it's happening is that lady's basically there because she's thinking that this person just committed treason or something. She just murdered her crew for no reason. And when she gets there, she's visibly upset, and she goes well, one of them was my son. And then she does the kind of the reveal of it's in the air, and the lady's instantly you could see her just terrified, it's which is, I was kind of intrigued by this because in the game it's just a known fact that all the spores are in the air, and they took it out of the first season because they didn't want it to be airborne and yada yada yada, and they did the tendril stuff instead. But it's kind of interesting that they're doing the stalkers and the in the air thing as if the fungus is evolving over time. It's not just in the game is basically you're either a runner. Once you've been infected long enough, it grows enough that you become a clicker because it takes over your face, and then eventually it grows more and you become a bloater. So it's just kind of over time you just grew more and more. But in this, it's kind of evolving. It's not just over time kind of thing.
It's almost like with the spores, it has to be the entire environment is infected too, and you're almost attached to the environment, and that's what's affecting it. But I do find it interesting. It is. I actually kind of like the idea of them finding out about the spores now. It adds a whole new wrinkle to everything because so many. It's almost like they've been so we have been saying they've been so comfortable with the infection that it's nothing now. But this whole we get new wrinkles. It's oh crap, we gotta really take this seriously again.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't just mess around with them, playing big deer hunter with them.
Yeah.
All right, Midnight.
Yeah, I thought this was a cool opening. You got to meet a couple of the wolves. I don't know if they have a big impact later or not, but they were cool. 2 female commanders, female empowerment. Yes, sir. I thought it was cool how, because obviously this is the first time they've mentioned spores in the show. Spores obviously were in the game, like you guys said, like in the first hour, like you're walking around with like gas masks on in the game.
Yeah, in the first game too. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. You got to see that she was upset that she lost her son. They made the right decision to seal it off and close it. So hopefully the spores don't get out and infect everyone. That's what you would have to do, unfortunately, even if your son's down there. And yeah, it's a good setup for later, because when we get to the later scene where Ellie's chasing her down, they show that B2, and you're like, oh shit, that's where the spores are. So
yeah, you even see that you see the guy's what his name was it Leon? Yeah, you see his name on his
her son. Yep.
Yeah, you see the name on the tag. But then it swaps to the theater, and we get Dina mapping out the wolf's position. We even get the whole, like, it shows how much smarter and more, like, this is what is very different in the game. Dina is very much more of the savvy, the more smart one about
She's
it.
An
like
idiot in the game. She's
it's almost like role reversal, where Ellie is kind of acting a lot dumber. But then again, later on, we get Ellie being a little bit smarter. So I don't know. Maybe they're doing that. But yeah, Dina is mapping out the positions of the wolves. They even mention how the Seraphites don't use technology, so the wolves are so used to that they can just spew out commands no matter what. Like they have no fear of anyone hearing it. So she's like, these freaking idiots. Now I'm just mapping out. She even gets the triangular combination. I mean the triangular thing. She's triangling them out. She's like, oh, if I had a protractor, yeah. And then Ellie's like, oh, I had a protractor.
Yeah,
really?
No, it's like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
yeah. It's interesting to me that Dina has both the looks and the brains in this. Poor Ellie.
And I think a lot of it has to go with, well, Ellie was brought up through Fedra, whereas I think we saw what Fedra looked like. I think it's much different. It's almost like living in not poverty, but it's like living in almost going to just more of like a military school, where
just
it's
a military
much
camp,
martial law.
Yeah, martial law. Whereas Dina was, I mean, we get the whole backstory later on about how Dina left her family at 8, and she's probably been in Jackson for a decade. So she was schooled in Jackson for a decade, and the way Jackson was run, it was like kind of like a real society. So she probably got actual schooling.
Yep.
Dude, yeah. I mean, we'll get to never mind. I'll always save it for when we do get to her telling her story later. But I just comment about that. But yeah, it was. See, that's the thing is, like in the game, obviously you said she's completely written differently. It's not that I didn't like. It's the writing in the game. I mean, like the dialogue and stuff was good in the game, other than Bigot Sandwich. But like I said, I like that in the show they do still give her little bit of sarcasm. Like she doesn't go full serious, because it would have been such a drastic change of character. So I do like that she, even though it's annoying that there's a couple times even later on, we'll get to it, where Ellie just kind of is starting to act like a schoolgirl around her, and it's like, come on, she had a little more adult look on the relationship in the game than this, where she's just basically acting like a starstruck child, and it's just like, come on, we need to not have this dialogue. But
yeah, I think I know what point you're talking about, and I had a similar thought to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then Ellie goes and turns on the power. We find the theater, and she starts playing the Future Days song, like we talked about. She only sings that one line of it, and obviously you can see on her face she's thinking of something. I think we can all infer. Well, I think Hodge and I know what she's thinking of. I think Midnight, I think you can infer what she's thinking of.
I was inferring that she got emotionally choked up because that was a Joel thing, and she lost Joel. So she's like, I can't do this. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's with this scene. I thought that this was going to be the flashback episode, because I really thought that, because it shows her just kind of staring off into space after she sings that line. So I really thought that was going to be a way to cut to a past scene with Joel. But obviously instead, as we saw later in the episode, it's not this episode. But so that I kind of thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity, because she does play the one song and then just gets up and leaves. I was like, oh, I was expecting a little more. I mean, like the scene itself wasn't bad, but I really was expecting like that would be a way to her having like a memory of Joel that we all see, kind of thing. But
I think that would have been a great open into the memory episode. But I also think the way that, I know it's later on, but the way they ended this to go to the memory episode next time, I think that was really powerful too, and really strong too.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get to it, but yeah, I'm a little back and forth on that one, but yeah. So she does the song, and then we move on from there.
Yeah, so then she goes back to Dina. She explains the patrol route. They figure out what they're gonna do. They make note of that the big building, they don't know what it is. Ends up being the hospital. Is not the hospital. It ends up being
like the warehouse,
it's like an
the
office. It
warehouse.
looked like a
Yeah,
call center almost.
yeah, like in a call center and
A
office house
warehouse.
is
Yeah.
like she's like for some reason like no one goes in there. It's all locked off. No one's in there, and they're like, well, it has to be infected. Well, can't. Well, she's like, well, that's an easy way to get through there if no one's in there. So they make a plan to go there, and they decide to go there, and they're like, well, we can get there by night, and so Dina and Ellie take off to go there. And when they leave, they find those dead Seraphites, and it's a pretty brutal scene there with the you had the worship of like their
had like the feel her love thing.
Kind of funny, yeah. It said "feel her love," and then underneath they put "feel this bitch," and
Yeah.
they had like all the dead people. That was kind of funny, even though it was a dark scene.
And you can tell that it was just recent because the bodies are still they haven't really decayed yet. The flies are still all around them. It probably smells horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their skin was just kind of white, and you could see that it was starting to decompose. But yeah, that definitely was, probably within a week or whatever. But yeah, I did laugh out loud at the "feel this bitch" on the wall.
That is so much like if you like. I'm trying to think of it. Like if this was like a real life thing, it probably would be something like that.
Oh yeah.
Like think of like two gangs going at each other. Like
that's something a soldier. That's something a soldier would do. When you're in a war and you hate the other side, yeah, that's what you would do.
Definitely,
yeah, the gallows humor.
Yeah. But yeah, then we allude to that. They talk about how Ellie's like, Dina, if you want to go back. And Dina's like, and we get into Dina's backstory here, and this kind of it goes into why she wants to keep going. So let's talk about Dina's backstory. She talks about the first time she killed somebody, and she was 8 years old. Living in Santa Fe, New Mexico with her mom and her sister. She decides to go play outside when she's not supposed to. She brings the gun though, which is good. And when she comes back, there was a raider there, and the raider had killed her mom and her sister. And the raider kind of just stares at her, and she shoots him. Not what I expected. I was expecting the way she was setting it up. I was expecting her to say like, "I went outside, and when I came back, like my family was infected and I had to shoot."
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Or I thought that then when she brought up the raider part, I thought she was going to say, I attempted to shoot the raider and I accidentally shot my mom and my sister. And so then I killed everyone. That's what I was thinking. Listen, my mind goes.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that would have been dark. Yeah.
I was thinking those two things. And then when it got to that, I was like, oh, well, I mean, nothing that's like, I'm sure that's like a very, to me, that could be like a common story for many people in this universe.
Yeah. It just felt so. I don't know if it's just the actress and how unimposing she is, but like the way she told the story, it just felt like it felt like out of place a little bit because she does. I mean, obviously we know why she's saying it. She goes because it's like this. If I had seen my parents, mom and sister die, I would have hunted that man for the rest of my life, kind of thing, which is good. But the way she's telling the story, she's doing it like how I imagine, like in a cliche like old movie where there's like they're at a bar getting ready to go on an adventure and there's a man with a peg leg like, "Yar, don't be going out there." Like because of like that's kind of the vibe I got of her telling this story of like she's so tough, but I'm like she's a 5'2", 100-pound girl, and she's like saying this in like this very serious tone. I'd like it's the same thing with like Ellie taking down men twice her size. I'm like, I just can't buy the toughness in this. So it fell flat for me, but it was a good story of like the whole thing of like, you never asked me how I got my first kill. And then she kind of tells her heartbreaking story, but it also had the moment where she's like, "Oh, then how'd you get to Jackson from there?" And she's like, "I don't want to tell you that," or says something like that. I'm just like, AK, the writers hadn't thought of why or how. So they just, why not? Like, just screw it. You don't need to know.
Yeah, so I have some thoughts there for that. I mean, obviously, she doesn't come off as very tough. Honestly, I agree, but I don't feel like that story was her meant to be tough because she was only 8, I believe, at the time. So obviously, an 8-year-old girl is not going to be that tough. She just ended up shooting the guy. But the thing that really the thing that really got to me in this scene was the cringe Marvel line that happened right afterwards. And I assume that this is a quote from the game, I'm guessing. But it was delivered very poorly, in my opinion, and it was very cringy. I forget. She was like, well, the downside is that we're being risky, or whatever word she uses, I forget. And then, of course, Ellie at the end, she's like, let's go be risky, or whatever. It was so cringe Marvel.
That is not in the game, by the way. That is not in the game.
That was 100% cringe Marvel writing right there. Yeah. She's like, let's go be dangerous, or whatever it was.
I think that was when they were planning back at the theater, but yeah, that was still
No, that was right after the story.
No, it was right after the story. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that was definitely not in the game. Also, note about the writing. I learned that Neil Druckmann took a huge step back from the writing this season. I guess he wrote a majority of season 1, whereas what's his name, Craig Meslin,
something
like Mezin Mazin.
Yeah, whatever that guy's name is. He did majority of the writing for this season, and I think you definitely see the drastic writing difference from this season to last season.
Yeah. I just thought that I thought that line had to have been in the game because it stood out so much, and but it was so cringy, dude. It was straight up Marvel. It was like, I'm talking to a cuff type writing right there. That line. She's like, let's go be risky or whatever.
Yeah. Let's go be reckless. I'm looking at it right now, and it is when they were in the theater. I was right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Boom.
Obama medal on. My bad.
So then next up,
but I was right that it was Marvel.
And you're right that it's cringy. Yes. I completely forgot about that line until you said that. So
there's another cringy line coming right up too.
Yes.
Next up, we have where they sneak past the spotlights to get into the building, and when they're in there, they make note, oh my gosh, we snuck by. There's no more lights in here. All the spotlights are outside. That means we're safe in here. But last resort, we use our guns because that means if we use our guns, they're going to know we're here. They also take note that they know that one door is not locked, that if they run in there, there's no wolves, but we have no idea what's in there because it's really dark. Ellie's like, well, let me go in because I can be bitten. Dina's like, no, we're going to go in together. But we get that cringy line about... No, that was a little bit later. But we do get some cringy lines here. This isn't the "I love you" line, right? No, that's not here.
Yes,
yet.
It is. It's okay. She goes like, "Well, you think I'm gonna go in there shooting me?" She goes, "Yes, and that's why I love you." But blah blah blah, and then she just like pauses.
What?
You love me?
Yes. Okay. Like, that was the cringy line, and I was like, "Wow, that is so uncharacteristic of Ellie." Like so uncharacteristic. Even if you don't like the writing in part 2, she wouldn't have done that in part 2. But even in part 1, she probably would have made some sarcastic comment about it.
Yeah, like I said, that's the other part. Like I said, just not too long ago, where I'm like, she has like this schoolgirl crush on her now, and it's like she's treating this relationship how like a true 14-year-old would treat it, and it's like,
I see it every day.
yeah. Oh man, remember the days? I'm sure you're still seeing them. The kids just making out in the hallway.
Yep, I see it every day.
To be fair, though, I mean, if you looked like a potato and you were somehow hooking up with a girl who's like a 9 or a 10, you'd probably be head over heels too. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah. No. So yeah, we get that, and then they go in there, and when they're in there, they're in the
kind of like a warehouse area.
The warehouse area. They realize there are stalkers. There are plenty because they're like, oh, there's only one stalker. We can take it out. Oh, well, you took it out by yourself. And it didn't bite you. Well, no, it did bite me. And then, but they're like, it's 2-on-1 now. But then they realize there are clickers there as well. So that adds another wrinkle. So now we're like, oh crap. So like we have to go back to the way we came. And then they go back, and it's like, oh no, we can't.
Yeah, there's like 5 stalkers behind them too, and So, but the thing I like about this scene is, I don't know, maybe this was on purpose or if it was or whatever, but like my big complaint from the first episode was that they were in the building with clickers and they're like doing all this like visual gags, like they're like basically not taking it seriously. But in this one, when they see the stalkers, like Dina is visibly scared. Like
she's never seen it. She's never seen anything like it. Yeah.
So she is terrified, and even Ellie is scared of this because, well, obviously it's more because she doesn't want Dina to get bit, but she's like, they're actually like scared in this, which made me happy because, like we said at the start of the episode, it adds like people have gotten used to like, okay, it's the runner, then the clicker, then the bloater, and that's what we have to deal with. And so now that there's these 2 new threats, people are actually scared of them again. And there's the there's the fire alarm again.
Sean, you got to change that battery, dude. You got to fix it. whatever the issue is.
It's still going off. But yeah, so I like that it's terrifying in that sense. And so then they get the plan of you run for the cage, I'll distract them because I can get bit and whatnot. And then that plan doesn't go very well because she gets into the cage and they instantly start tearing
There's
away
so
at the
many
chain
of 'em,
link.
yeah.
And Ellie is instantly overwhelmed.
Sidebar about the alarms. It's not batteries and it's not the alarms itself. It's an internal wiring thing. If I were to do it, they have to tear down walls. I'm not doing that.
Oh,
Damn.
wow.
Yeah.
I will say, I have been critical at times of Ellie, let's be honest. But I have to give them their flowers for this scene here because I thought the acting from both Ellie and Dina was really good in this scene when they're talking about the stalker, because like the tension and the fear was very obvious and palpable. Yeah. And it gave me anxiety watching it. Like it was a very tense scene. I could feel like the stress that they were under. And then especially when they revealed that there's multiple enemies swarming them, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was even thinking along the lines of like, oh my God, like what's like, because the show's taken so many changes. Like, what are they going to do? Like, is Dina going to make it out of here alive? Because you had them like all on top of Ellie, and then you have them breaking that cage, and then that's when we get the shots from Jesse. Our White Knight Jesse comes in.
Yeah.
Did you think it was Jesse Midnight?
I did not. I thought that it was going to be Tommy. So when the shots broke out, I was like, who is this? It's Tommy, right? And then they showed, and it was our muscular boy, Jesse, the Giga Chad. He showed up. And that was pretty cool. He saves the day, and then he's freaking out like, were you bitten? You were bitten? And Dina's like, no, trust me. She wasn't bitten.
Yeah. I obviously I love seeing Jesse back, but it felt very Deus Ex Machina, like just like they were fucked, and then suddenly he comes in with a shotgun and is able to take them all out. I'm like,
he had a shotgun?
I think so.
I didn't realize that. If he had a shotgun, he would have probably hit Ellie too.
I think it was.
I think it was just it was an automatic rifle.
I thought it was like an AR. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it does look like an AR. I'm looking at it now. Yeah,
so if you spray a shotgun, you're probably going to hit friendlies too.
I mean, but Hodge, I mean that's modern TV for you. They're full of them. Every show.
Yeah, well then of course it's funny. I'll just say this now and then to set up later. They don't miss shots when they're shooting zombies. But yeah, but then we'll get to it later. But yeah, so he takes them out and then they run to the forest and the wolves like, we don't go in there. Don't go in there.
Yeah, well, I think what you were about to say was while they were running to the forest, the wolves missed like 12 shots.
Yeah, like
while they're running, like stormtrooper aim when it's convenient.
Exactly.
But when there's a zombie, it's headshot.
Yeah, they have the spotlight on them, so they have a perfect view of them and missing every single shot. They have 12 people chasing them, all shoot at them, all missing. Yeah.
That's that plot armor.
Yeah. Exactly, plot armor for sure.
But yeah, so they run to that forest. The wolves won't go in. They find the Seraphites killing a wolf. It's pretty brutal, the scene. We get how that they pretty much mutilate the bodies with the intestine. They put the
disembowel them. Yeah, they hang them and they put that hook up there and.
Sickle. Before I want to say that, we also get the huge difference between the Seraphites and the wolves there. We get a torture scene of the wolf torturing the Seraphite, Isaac torturing the guy in the previous episode, where that Seraphite will not give up anyone. He will not. He's like, I'm not going to do it. Torture me all you want. You won't. This wolf is instantly ready to give everyone up. He's like, no, I'll give you up. I'll tell him. So we see that dichotomy there between the huge difference between the two groups.
His first line was, I'll join you guys.
Exactly. Yeah. So we get that huge, it goes to show you there's a huge difference between the two groups here. One is much more loyal when it comes to things. And I think that might be playing a factor later on.
Fanatical is the word I would use, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. That scene is pretty brutal. But they have the the sickle right onto the stomach, and then they just kick the bucket and they raise them up. Oh my God, it was disgusting.
Yeah, I like before like that part happened. I like that when they get in there, they're like, we don't go in there. So their first thought is, oh crap, there's infected in here. Like we're just got led into another. But it's actually a turf war thing where no, we don't go where the Seraphites are.
No, which is funny. And then we start hearing the whistle, and then they make the plan. Okay. Ellie's like, all right, I'll distract them. You guys get out of here. I'll meet you up somewhere else. So then Ellie starts shooting her gun. So they only think it's one. She runs away. As she's running away, she eventually kind of loses the trail, and then she looks, and instead of going back to where she's supposed to go, she sees the hospital, which is the end location they're supposed to be going to. Originally,
I got two things about this scene really quick before Midnight goes. first, before they get in there, they're like, "How'd you find where we were?" And she says, "I found your map at the theater." And then she goes, "How'd you find us? How'd you find the theater?" And he goes, "Do I look like I want to talk to you right now?" And I was like, it was another thing of where the writer couldn't think of how they got there, so they just had to push it away. But then also, would they have thought that Ellie was alone? Because some Seraphite had perfect aim and shot her right in the shot Dina in the leg, so they knew they were there.
Yeah, but I think at that point they were more focused on just Ellie now because she was the one shooting, and I think that maybe they didn't think she was alone, but they were focused on that. They thought they were all contained to that one area.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you.
That's what I would think. Yeah, and I forgot to mention, Dina does get shot with the arrow, which is like pretty like, oh, my mom was like, oh my god, no!
Is that how she gets sidelined in the game, or did she just go?
She gets sidelined before that. It's way before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought so. But
it's at the end of day one is when she's sidelined.
Okay, was it because of the pregnancy or something else? I can't remember.
It's because of the pregnancy. She's having a lot of complications because of the pregnancy, and Ellie's like, "I'm not bringing you out here." That's another big difference. In the game, Ellie decides like, "I'm not bringing you out here. Like, you are not coming." Like, I'm deciding that.
When I turned on the game when I got my Pro, because I just wanted to look at the game and how pretty it is on it, and I quit the game when they got to the theater, and she does, I'm immune, I'm pregnant, and I was like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. But so I turned it on, and it was right after that scene, and Ellie's walking around the theater like, God, she's fucking pregnant. Are you kidding me? Like, she's like so angry about it.
Yeah.
As opposed to the show, she's like, I'm gonna be a dad.
She in the game, she's angry because she's putting Dina at risk. That's what she's so angry about. And she's like, I don't want Dina to be at risk here. Yeah, and she's like angry because she's like, well, I've dragged it. She blames herself for bringing her out here, basically.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point because we are talking about the show. But yeah, so we get to Midnight. Did you want to speak about this?
Well, I was just gonna say that I was surprised when Dina got shot because they're in the forest or in the woods in the dark, and there was no spotlight that was shined on them, and they didn't make any noise or get revealed. So I don't know how that spotter just saw her and just randomly shot, but hey, good shot, good eyes, I guess.
He has he's the perk. What's the perk in Call of Duty where you can like see? Is that a perk or an attachment? I don't even know.
I don't know.
We can like night vision or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and then also too, maybe I missed something, but I didn't get the vibes that Ellie chose to go to the hospital by herself, but more that she was chased by the dog, and that's where she ended up.
No, because
she had to crawl through that hole.
She takes a look at the. That was after she takes a look at the hospital and looks back and makes a conscious decision towards the hospital. It's after that point. It's after that point when she decides I'm going in that way. But she could have gone a different way. But she makes that conscious decision because in her head she has that. This is where I'm getting more into the video game Ellie. I'm on a revenge tour. I don't care what the frick happens. I am out here for revenge. Midnight, you're right though. She runs to the hospital, and that's when we see all the wolves protecting it. We get the dogs. Those are classic military dogs. I'm pretty sure the dogs they use in the military.
They're German shepherds.
German shepherd, yeah.
I'm not a big dog brand guy. I like dogs, but I don't know dogs.
I almost said golden retriever, but that wouldn't have been it. No.
Yeah,
it was chihuahuas chasing them.
It's like Clifford, right?
Yeah, I found that kind of hokey of like, because doesn't the guy say like there's nothing there or something? Like
he said it was just an animal or something.
He said it was just an animal, yeah.
Okay, because
he thought it was an animal because it was just a small opening that she got through.
Oh yeah, that only a child-sized person could get through.
Yeah,
because she's such a freaking midget.
Yeah. So we get that, and then we're in the hospital, and
this was
comments.
Well, other than that cringy dog, I just thought it was kind of dumb that the guy's like, oh, he senses something. Oh, it's just like I feel like they would have put a little more effort into it, but I found it very convenient. It's one of those things where it's like you kind of roll your eyes at how the cards fall. Like she just manages to catch Nora alone. Like, okay, like she's sneaking through this hospital that has all these people crawling around, and she's able to find the one room where Nora's alone.
Whereas in the game, it's a build up. Like you're going through, you're hearing the people talk about like, oh, Nora's low. Oh, I'm in. Like you hear on the radio, like I'm located in this area. So then Ellie's like, oh, I need to be able to get to this area. Whereas, and I think a lot of that has to do with the time constraint of it. Well, the time restriction of, I guess, TV, even though it's HBO, they shouldn't be restricted to how long they can have their episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
especially in a 7. I don't know. I get really weird about the time thing. I'm like, it really doesn't make them as long as you want.
Right.
Like a
as long as they need
podcast.
to be. Yeah.
Like Sons of Anarchy. Did you guys ever watch that show?
My parents did. My parents did, and I heard it doesn't
That
get
show is
crazy in like
awesome.
season 3.
Dude, I love that show. I highly recommend it to everybody.
But
at the end of in the last season or 2 of that, like they were literally doing like hour and 40-minute long episodes because they wanted to make sure that they covered everything. Like they didn't care. They just did it.
Yeah. So we get that. Yep, she conveniently finds Nora in there by herself, and that's when they start talking. Ellie confronts her with the gun pointed, and Nora kind of knows how to get under her skin though, because she's like, she basically explains why Abby did what she did, but then she says, "Oh yeah,
that was later."
Oh, that was later. Yeah, you're right.
That was later.
Area. That was later. So this point, she plays off like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it hurt me too. Like I hear his screams at night." But yeah, he got what he deserved. And she knows how to get under Ellie's skin because that really like pisses her off, and it kind of catches her off her guard, and that's when she makes the move where she flops the. Is that like I don't even know what was that water? Was that
it was just alcohol or something? Who knows?
Yeah, she was cleaning some bandages or something in a tub, and I think it was just water, or no, I guess it did come from a bottle, so it's probably
like vinegar or rubbing alcohol or something.
Yeah, screams it at Ellie and runs away and yells, "Intruder! Intruder! Shoot the girl!"
Yeah, and then another scene where no one can hit any shots.
Yeah.
Real quick, this will tell you how bad my memory is. I didn't recognize Nora from the earlier episode. I guess she was part of the group. The only thing that I thought when I saw Nora, I was like, this bald lesbian chick looks like the girl from Intergalactic or whatever.
It's the same person.
Is it? Well, there you go. Yeah. That's her actress. Yeah.
She was also the bad guy in the Uncharted movie.
Okay. Well, they like using her.
Yeah. Naughty Dog keeps in the family, I guess. But
so she runs away, and then we get to the point where Ellie runs through. She's missing all the shots, and then Nora finds herself cornered. The only way out is to get through the conveniently a little open elevator shaft, but if she jumps through and can't get to the other side, she's gonna fall to the basement, which is where we know from earlier it is a no-go zone. We cannot go down there.
Spoiler, someone who works in ventilation, if you had that elevator cracked open, those spores would have gotten up through that into the building. So it's kind of dumb that they left a elevator door cracked open that led down to where the deadly spores are.
In their defense, is it possible that maybe because the elevator was stuck down there, maybe the elevator was blocking the airflow? I don't know. They're probably
that's true. I think she did. I think she did peel open a door downstairs, didn't she? So it was probably
she had to. Yeah,
like the elevator collapsed when she jumped on it. It fell down the floors.
Yeah. That's probably it. Then I'm sure it was blocking.
But basically, you could almost see the desperation in Nora from that point, because she knows like if I don't get through here, I'm like totally screwed, because if this falls, I'm done. And it ultimately falls. She runs away.
Then Ellie has stormtrooper aim at that point. She shoots like 8 times down there at the elevator, or 5 times or something. It doesn't hit any shots.
Ground, can't hit a single shot.
Convenient.
Ellie chases after her. We get down there, and then that's when we find all the wolves who were supposedly killed by their own person, but nope, they are down there. They are attached to this giant infected thing, and they're spewing off the spores. And this is where we can talk about the spores a little bit. Like I said earlier, I think they did a really good job with the presentation of this. You can just see like in there, it was almost like watching someone like have you ever watched
smoke or something?
Yeah, this is a really bad. Like I got down a rabbit hole once going down like a lot of 9/11 videos, and like after like the debris that falls, like to see like them just breathing, and you can just see like the all the debris and the smoke and the dust just breathing in and out. It was really disgusting. That's what it reminded me of, which is horrifying.
Yeah, they made it look, because in the game it's just like in the first game and second game, it's just there's occasionally a room where like spores, and you put on the gas mask, and that's literally all it does. It's just,
you can see like random puffs. You see like random puffs.
Yeah, but it actually looks like imposing in the show, which that's the one thing I love about the fact that this is an HBO show, is they do so well with the settings and stuff like that. It looks so good. Occasionally there is the one where they go outside and then you see in the distance the buildings are very CGI, but like the actual physical sets that they make look so good. It looks incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I also liked how that the people who the infected who are spewing the spores are so grossly infected and so attached, like they don't even like move. They just like sit there and like you can see they're alive, but they can't do anything other than breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we start hearing Nora cough, and it actually a throwback to that opening scene when she says, I heard them cough, like he couldn't breathe, all he was doing was coughing, and that's when I knew something was totally wrong. And we get that from her, and Nora's like, you don't understand, you killed both of us.
I'll take over there since it's alarm. Yeah, she's like, you killed both of us, and Ellie's like perfectly fine, like breathing. She's like, did I? And that's when Nora looks at her and is like, you're the one. You're the one who's immune. Yep.
You're the chosen one.
The chosen one.
That was I did love that though, because like they said in like the very first episode when they're like they didn't believe that there was an immune person like that, like they just knew Joel killed everyone, they had no idea why. And so she's like, she gets the realization of like, oh, you do exist. And but then of course she's so mad, she's like, do you know what he did? He killed the really doctor who could have made the cure and all that. And I do love that Ellie's kind of now at the point where obviously at the start of the episode, or the season, you kind of see that she's upset with like that he made the choice for her and all that shit. But now you can see that she's accepted the choice, and she's like, yeah, he saved me. Like that kind of look on her face.
And we get a little alluring to Abby, making it slow and painful. Like, I'm not going to just put you out of your misery with this gun. You're going to tell me where Abby is, and I'm just going to torture you and make it really slow. And whether I kill you with this, whatever she picked up like a piece of pipe, whatever you,
which you get 6 hits out of that in the game.
Whether I kill you with this pipe or you die because the spores turn you, I'm just gonna torture you and make it slow and painful. So that was really powerful. And then obviously it cuts to black, and then it cuts and we see Ellie waking up in Jackson with Joel, and that is gonna be the lead into the next episode.
Yeah.
So I feel like we might have skipped past this Nora torture scene a little fast. I do want to mention how well the acting was in this. This was one of the parts where I thought Bella Ramsey absolutely killed it. Like the rage and anger on her face where she was like screaming, where is she? Like whatever was like really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought she killed it. That was a great scene. Very believable.
This is video game Ellie right here. This is definitely video game Ellie.
That's what I figured.
That's the thing is like, I understand, like, I'm not discounting your liking of it, but Ashley Johnson Ellie is so much more terrifying in the scene in the game. Like she's so good in this. I do like that it was basically 1-for-1 in a way for this scene, but the one thing I didn't like, or I shouldn't say I didn't like, that I was kind of bummed about is not that I need like brutal murder or anything, but in the game she doesn't show Nora getting beaten to death, but it shows her swinging it, and like it's basically kind of what they did in the first season when she's hacking away at the pedophile, David. It was basically that, but in the game, and it's in that red light, so it's very brutal seeing her do that. So in this one, she just kind of did 2 whacks and then it cuts to black. I was like, oh, I was kind of expecting more of the showing the look on her faces as she did it, and like the blood kind of, whatever. Like I expected a little more. So the fact that they cut away, I was actually kind of surprised that they did it after only a couple hits. But it's not a criticism. It was just more of a observation. But.
Yeah, the game is definitely much more violent than the show. They show a lot more in the game.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
just saying.
Oh no,
go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's Bella Ramsey, right? But I would say for her, I think she probably did about as good as she possibly could have in that scene, displaying that rage and like the emotion. I thought she did great, even though the casting is still bad. But what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I think in a way, like I said this to Locke when we did the episode 2 together for this. I feel like they're afraid of making it too violent because it'll turn off viewers. Because as much as they want it to be like realistic, I think the majority of viewers don't like super violent TV show. Like I said, for my example of that one was I think the Joel's death was a little less brutal than the game because I think they were afraid of what happened to The Walking Dead happening to The Last of Us, because that baseball bat scene in The Walking Dead killed that show. And I think they don't want that to happen to The Last of Us. So I think they are toning down some of the violence. Obviously, it's still pretty violent. The guy got disemboweled earlier in the episode, but I think they're toning it down just a little bit. They don't want to see someone be brutally beaten to death on screen.
And I think that's a good call because I don't really want to see somebody get destroyed by a pipe. That's a bit more graphic than what I'm looking for. So their choice to have it mostly off screen but implied, I think is good. We know what happened.
Yeah, but I do kind of like that. I just don't. I think maybe the reason why the ending didn't work for me is because it was such a very quick cutaway. Like there wasn't really like a transition to it. It just kind of cuts to black and she's waking up in Jackson with Joel being like, "Hey, kiddo," kind of thing. And so it just felt like obviously they want you to know that Joel's back next episode. I think it's like that's literally the only reason is they want you to be like, "Come back next week, Joel's here." And so I think they kind of did that way, but it felt because I can't remember. I think in the game, isn't it? It cuts to it after this scene. I can't remember. Yeah.
It does.
So I understand that that's why they're doing it, but it just felt the transition just didn't feel like natural to me.
To me, I think it works because they're alluding to the fact that Ellie. This is the first time Ellie is kind of 100% fully accepted the decision that Joel's made. Whereas Nora's trying to remind her, like, do you know what he did? And I think this is the first time in her mind she's like, yeah. And I think in this flashback we're gonna get that scene where Joel talks to her about what actually happened.
Yeah, which I'm very much looking forward to. I haven't wanted to mention any of the flashback stuff when we're doing this because I do want Midnight to see the flashback stuff, like with virgin eyes. So I'm very much looking forward to next episode because those were some of my favorite parts of the game. So I'm very much looking forward to next episode. And obviously, just love seeing Joel back, but yeah. I'm looking forward to that stuff because I honestly, the thing is with other than the whole bigot sandwich kind of Dina crap, the first 10 hours of The Last of Us Part 2 were on par with Last of Us Part 1 to me. Like I loved the first 10 hours of this game, and so the stuff that we're seeing so far has been obviously it's not as good. Like I said, it's not as good as the game, surprisingly, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the game, but they're doing a decent job, and I'm excited to see the stuff that I did like in the first game.
Yeah, I will. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was gonna say, like I said, I am enjoying the show. I'm just, to me, I just reminded from playing the game how much better the game is.
Yeah, I kind of do want to go back and finish the game now that I have the Pro because it is a gorgeous game on the Pro. Like it is really good looking on it, so I might have to go back and finish it just because. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, Midnight, you go.
I'll have to actually play it. Maybe I'll play it sometime between season 2 and 3 of the show.
Yeah,
but yeah, I will say because I have a Pro as well. But yeah, I do agree. Like they didn't have the smooth transition to the flashback like they would have had in the guitar scene or whatever. That would have been a smooth transition. They probably could have filmed like a super short scene of like Ellie afterwards, like looking kind of like dejected and just looking off into space, and then had the flashback like super quick. But it's fine. We're excited to see more Joel.
Yeah, very much so. I am looking forward to it. I am very excited to see reaction of people who have not played the game about this episode.
I was gonna say you made a good point there. Is that I think that's why the transition didn't seem natural because it doesn't have her thinking about it. It just cuts to it. So like, if she had like kind of got up like out of breath looking at Nora's dead body or something, and it's kind of her staring, and then it cuts to it, that would have made a lot more sense than the way
they just had to shoot her literally just looking off into space for like a second.
Yeah, I didn't think
sometime after that event.
Yeah, you're right. That's what would have made it because I was trying to think like what would they have done to make it seem more natural, and that's exactly what they should have done. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
but anyway,
all right, and that was like we said. That's the episode of Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5. Yeah.
Should we go around the horn and rate it on the scale of anchovies to bacon? This is a solid pepperoni for me, I think.
Solid pepperoni. I don't know where that lands for you. That's very different for everyone.
I don't either. I think that's what's great about the scale is it makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is a good. It's a good like sausage, pepper, and onion. I think sausage, pepper, and onion.
Okay.
This is buffalo chicken for me.
Okay. Let us know in the comments,
buffalo
guys.
Buffalo chicken for me would be like near the top tier.
Yeah, that buffalo chicken would be
but
good
that's
with
the
some
point,
ranch to
is
dip it in.
I love it. I love this. I
was
love
gonna
it.
say chicken bacon ranch, but that includes bacon, which is the top. So I could do. So I went with buffalo instead. Buffalo,
Okay.
yeah, buffalo pizza's delicious.
I love this.
So,
Everyone's is different. You know what? I love it. Love this.
Let us know in the comments, listeners, what pizza does this score for you?
No context, though. Just write the topping. No context.
It makes zero sense.
Yeah, don't even just write a topping in your comments of what you think it is, and we'll know.
We'll know. We'll see you, and we'll appreciate you listening to the whole episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we'll know if people listen to episodes, if they're listing pizza toppings at the end.
Heck yeah. Sorry, Sean, I interrupted you.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, but that was the episode. Thanks for joining us. We only have 2 of these left. Should be a good, fun time. Looking forward to future episodes. Later this week we will have a week from today we will be our mainline episode will be released. A week from when we're recording this, 6 days from when you guys hear this.
Next
our
Monday.
Mainline episode, next Monday, and that will be a very fun special episode. Hodge and I kind of teased a little bit. We're not going to tell you the topic, but it is a very fun topic, something that we will love to discuss. So, yeah, hopefully you join us.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to add. This was fun. I enjoyed that the episode was pretty good. So,
yeah, I'm ready to get out of here.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys. Have fun. Go kill infected. Don't smoke some spores. I don't know what you guys do. Have fun.
Spores.
Bye. All right. See ya.